Hello everyone, it's Nicholas Ashbaugh. I wanted to do an extra reading this week, and we're going to be focusing on the after effects of the partial solar eclipse and also the new moon. And I'm going to start with the latter first. Whether you're watching this as we're going through the new moon or in the week after, it's fine. So I'm recording it on Sunday, September 21st, and it's going to help us navigate the next 7 days. Let's get started. All right. So I'm going to start first again with the lunar energy. What is coming through on this new moon, past, present, and future influences. And let's bring in some oracle messages as well. Okay, I quite like what I'm seeing here, especially with these two upright cards. There's a little bit of emotional stuff to work with, but let's take it a card at a time, beginning with past influences. We have a beautiful Queen of Swords here. It's really interesting that Medusa makes an appearance. It looks like it's Athena, her owl, and the Medusa sort of head on her cape. So Medusa to me represents stillness, like she turned people to stone. So this is about thoughts and actions. And for some of you, there could have been this stagnation or fear of moving forward that kind of froze you. One thing for those of you that watched my weekly collective, I'll make sure to link it up, but we talked about the paralysis of perfection, something new that came through today. And when we are worried about being perfect, sometimes we don't take a risk, a leap, we don't move because we're afraid, is it good enough? What are people going to think? And perfection is overrated. I would focus in this new moon on iteration and action. Lean into your wisdom, lean into your experience, fight for what matters, especially with this Queen of Swords, and don't give any more time or energy to that paralysis of perfection. There might be also this fear of being judged because Medusa was deeply misunderstood. And so we are sometimes our own worst critic, and we think, I'm not good enough, I'm not beautiful enough, experienced enough. Again, that's some of the paralyzing thoughts too. These are very much in the past, and Athena's ready to move forward and encouraging you to do so as well. This is a time where your actions and words are going to be noticed, so make sure that they're aligned. In other words, walk the walk and talk the talk, because if not, people are going to question, can I trust you? Are you serious? Etc. Okay, let's see what is affecting this. So the oracle card, which can help amplify or reduce this, is so interesting that this is a defense card. So we have messages around spiritual protection and defense. One thing with it in the reverse position, it actually could be advantageous. It's saying, fight for what matters, but don't automatically go on the defensive when someone might just be engaging in conversation. Really ascertain or understand if there is something that requires you to fight. So questions are always your best friend in this instance. You can ask someone, what did you mean? And then you can figure out from that if they were just offering feedback, if they were just legitimately asking a question, or if they're poking the bear and it is time for you to fight. The good news is this is one of the best cards you can get for any kind of defense, whether it's verbal defense, legal defense, or just saying, hey, stop it, and creating the necessary boundaries. She's going to lean into knowledge, though, and facts. The owl there is saying it's so much more powerful to fight with incontrovertible information because then people really kind of just have nowhere to go. Opinions aren't going to be able to hold up against that, okay? Make sure that when you enter into something new that you protect yourself. So the Queen of Swords is a contractual card. Some of you might have been waiting until you found the right lawyer, the right moment. Make sure that the contract aligns to what you need. Ultimately, it's time to take action, and that's why in the present energy of this new moon, we have the Ace of Swords in reverse, which is direct and action-oriented. So now is the time to take action. Try to avoid overtly critical thoughts or overly critical communication towards others. Constructive criticism is fine, but when it's just fear-based or critical or negative in general, it goes back into that Medusa-like energy that we just saw there. So a slight note on that. This also is revisionary. So The sword can be communication and actions. It can also be like the pen. And so you might be going through something and revising, reviewing, editing, making sure that it feels right. Perfect time for that. Also, if you have been procrastinating because of the paralysis of perfection, now is the time to put things into a written format because you're overthinking it, okay? So that's the main message. And then right beneath it, we had an oracle card, which is releasing this feeling of guilt. It says, I release any beliefs that no longer assist in my soul's growth. And we might be recognizing, some of us in this period of time, that you don't have to be guilty or feel guilty about doing something that feels good, that is aligned to your path, to your purpose, to your passion. This guilt can come from anybody, a parent, society, etc. Sometimes there's misunderstanding, and this comes through more as an illusion. When I look at this bottom row of cards, it really is more of the energy that can either dampen it or elevate it, and in this case, it dampens it. So we see overdue action. It's time to take action. Protect yourself, of course, as you're doing that, but don't feel guilty if what you're doing is right. Sometimes people just don't understand. So as we look forward and see where the new moon is taking us, it's helping you reclaim your power. We have the Magician. The Magician is right in the middle of that energetic flow, represented by all the tarot cards around him. So you are an active co-creator, not just a participant, but a co-creator, and sometimes just a creator in your reality, in your truth, in your life. And with this comes responsibility, because you can't always point a finger and blame someone else. As we get older, it's our life, our decision, our path. So take a moment to own it and don't be afraid of it, because with that also comes great power and great potential. This is the card that begins manifestation. You have to trust, have belief, and focus. The only thing that can get the Magician out of its power is distraction, trying to do too much, or not believing, okay? And then amplifying this card is what we've been talking about, getting closer to your passion and your path. So it says, I was called here on a mission. This is the week, and this is the time. It's perfectly aligned because we're entering into equinox, right? I'll do a reading on equinox, so don't worry. But with that equilibrium, with that momentary sort of balance, now you can more accurately and effectively get into your path and your passion. I like the new moon. This is the thing to release. All three of these things, really, which is the paralysis of perfection, a feeling of guilt, and sometimes going on the defensive before needing to. Always get to the bottom of it. And then these three, which are kind of leaning towards the future, are action, revision, getting aligned to the mission, and really creating something beautiful. Okay? Very, very beautiful, actually. I'm going to move the cards to the side in case I need to reference them. And now we're going to move on to the partial eclipse. So when we're looking at eclipse energy, oftentimes it is slightly shadow-oriented. So let's see what the shadow might be revealing to us in this moment in time. I'm just going to work with the same deck on this one for consistency. Okay, let's begin with what it's revealing from our past. So we have the Ten of Wands here, which is a card that almost gets you to the finish line. I talked about it in my weekly collective, so I have another version of it. And one thing that you don't have to do any longer is to carry the weight or the burden of everything and everyone else. Sometimes we feel like we have to be the Mr. or Mrs. Fix-It in everyone's life. That can actually start to block out your view of what else is there. So in this Ten of Wands, you're so far in the weeds of the energy that it's saying, look beyond that because something better awaits. So we have the Knight or the Son of Cups coming through here saying, this is a moment now to really have some fun, to be creative, to prioritize people, experiences, and joyful events in your life, not just toiling, working, carrying the burden. Okay? So what was being blocked out was this part of you that is capable of joy and creativity and fun. And I see that there's an imbalance for some of you in how you were spending your time or energy. And right below this card, we had imagination. I embrace and nourish the creative aspect of my mind and that is this. And so this is a moment to really drink in that creativity, to do something with it, and not to be overly practical. There's a time for practicality, but when it comes to exploring what we came to this planet to do, what matters most, the eclipse is teaching us that we might have forgotten about something that, the most important thing, which is just to experience joy and to have some fun with people that we love. Let's look at this moment in time. So, how perfectly aligned are these two cards? Humor and the Fool, one and the same. Okay, because the Fool can be like a jester, right? He can be acting foolish. The Fool can also just be a first step. And when we don't put too much pressure on ourselves, remember, many of us are trying to struggle and get past the Ten of Wands. One of the ways to do that is by having a sense of humor with each step, with each mistake, with each victory. Don't take yourself overly serious. And I had a great conversation with a friend the other day where we were talking about someone else, and I said, humor is a great tool to break through, especially if someone is going through something. Not making fun. We also talked about this on the Weekly Collective. There's a difference between, I'm not a fan of sarcasm, but I am a fan of having a sense of humor about life and about the experiences, because we can get rid of energy in a lot of different ways. You can cry, you can shout, you can laugh. You can also just exercise, but somehow it's got to get out of your body. Laughter is one of the most joyful ways. So if you can find something that brings joy and helps you not take the experience that we call life so seriously, that could be something to really lean into. That doesn't mean that you're not working hard. It means that you understand that sometimes life is ridiculous. And a good laugh can really do the heart some justice and can help heal, okay? And if we aren't so hard on ourselves, if we can laugh at our own mistakes and say, yeah, that was kind of ridiculous. I'm so glad I'm past that. And it's fun and it's endearing. So I know I certainly can laugh at things that have happened in the past because it's a version of yourself that you're not really representing anymore. Celebrate it, laugh with it, not at it so much, and just say, all right, let's move on now. That's good. It's a release and a relief to be able to do so, okay? So maybe using humor to help you break through or break down some of those old feelings and energies. Ultimately, this is going to bring us movement and liberation. So the eclipse wants us to focus and to work smarter, not harder, and to get into the flow. So we have Eight of Wands energy, but it was reversed. So for some of us, if we don't rest enough, if we don't pull ourselves out of that sort of thickness that we were seeing here with this, or the thicket, I could even say, that is the Ten of Wands, we're not going to be able to embrace the creativity that wants to come through. There's a lot going on right now. Normally this is like rocket ships in the air. I'll pull it up, or just like wands moving in the air. And so take a moment or two to realize that there isn't time to freak out. There isn't time to be perfect. Just go with the flow. Every day is a reset. One of the totems that came through in the Weekly Collective was Morning Glory. And I love Morning Glory as a symbol because every day it blooms for exactly one day. And it's saying, make the most of it. You'll never have to repeat this day, but you'll also never get a chance to live it exactly the way that it is. So take time to smell the flowers. If you're feeling overwhelmed, take a step back. But understand that this is one of the best cards for progress. If I'm looking at a business owner or someone starting on a project or someone trying to do something, whatever you set into motion has a chance to start to move. And this is going to give you freedom because you will feel like, finally, I'm starting this. You don't have to finish it this week. The Fool is just about taking the first or the next step. The Fool is not perfect, and the Fool can laugh as it's making steps and missteps along the way. This is also freeing because you don't have that illusion or that sort of paralysis of perfection that we had when we were looking at the Queen of Swords here before, okay? The Freedom card says, I possess the power and free will to create my own happiness. Remember what I was saying, that you are co-creating, sometimes just fully creating your path, and the new moon was reminding us of that. This as well is saying, it's time. I feel like you're going to exit this week feeling a sense of release and relief, and I'm here for it. We also had a card titled The Mountain, I think, at some point during the Weekly Collective, and I do connect this card to that. For many of you, you could be at the beginning or the end of that journey The important thing is to remember why you're doing what you're doing and then celebrate progress along the way. Overall, I quite like what I see here, and I think that this is a manageable week, possibly even a really productive week if you let go of the perfectionist tendencies. I hope you enjoyed this. Check out the weekly collective, which I'll make sure to link up as well, and I'll be back for the equinox, as well as the next round of November and December monthly readings. They should start rolling out this week. So good to see all of you. I hope you're doing well. And before I wrap up, I think Apollo's in the other room, so I just want to remind you to like and subscribe if you haven't already. You can also show some support by joining me on other social media platforms. That way you get a notification in case Google or YouTube doesn't throw it out. If you love what you see here, it's all fan supported. When you watch a video, that helps. If you give a super sticker, that helps. If you become a member, that helps. It's the only way I can keep doing what I'm doing. So whatever works for you, if you feel called to give a sticker, thank you in advance. I appreciate you. And if you need more information about me, you can go to my website. Let me see if I can just pull Apollo up here for the end, and then we'll say goodbye for today. All right, here's Apollo, super fluffy. He was napping, but I know you guys all enjoy seeing him from time to time. Take care of yourselves. Have a great week ahead. Be gentle. Try to have a sense of humor. It will help as well. Until I see you next, take care.